Okay, there we go. All right. So like I said, we have Lindsay Matway here speaking to us tonight, and she's going to just kind of be sharing her story and a little bit about the different things that she's gone through as she's building her business, which I think our stories are so powerful. If you guys listened to the National Wake Up Call I did, it was all about story, and Jeff kept making fun of me because I kept saying the word story. But as a retired photographer, I think our stories are our humanity. They're what connects us. They're what gives us freedom when we share them. And it empowers other people when they hear our stories and they hear what we went through. So I'm really excited to have Lindsay share. Lindsay, when I first signed up in 2013, Lindsay was the top coach. And that was the first time a female had ever been the top coach. So that was a really cool thing. That was part of the reason why I found her, was when I was Googling, can people be successful in Beachbody coaches? And she came up. So she definitely set that bar for so many of us in this business. She has been in the top 10 for as long as I've known her, and probably since before I signed up as a coach. She's been an elite coach, I think, pretty much every year that the elite program has been a thing. So that's pretty incredible, because for those of you guys that understand the elite program, you know that the elite program doesn't just mean top coach or biggest earner. It means a team that is consistently growing and outperforming what it did the year before. So you can imagine, once you've been a coach for 5, 6, 7 years and you amass a team of thousands and thousands of people, that's challenging to outperform. And, you know, I think so many people think that the successful coaches in the company just kind of sit around and their businesses kind of just roll. But to be elite every year shows that a coach is doing those same foundational things that a brand new coach starting day one would be doing. So I think that that's a really cool accolade that Lindsay has. She's also a Millionaire Club member lots of times over. She has the team, the Bombshell Dynasty, which you guys are all grandbabies and great-grandbabies and great-grandbabies in. That's our upline team. And she's created an incredible culture there. I have learned an insane amount from her, and she's helped me to really develop into the businesswoman that I am today. And so I just feel really special that she's here to talk to all of you guys. I'm going to hand it over to you, Lindsay.
Thank you so much for obviously insane introduction. And, you know, I've always sort of been like an arrow girl at heart. So I've always I'm in your guys' team page, and every once in a while I'll jump in there and I'm like, oh my gosh, everything's so pretty. And it's just the vibe that you guys have is so unique. And I've always been just super impressed by Becca and just the tribe that you guys have. So I'm excited to be able to talk to you guys. And I told her before the call, I'm going to go through a little bit of my story. But I want to bring you to today because I realized that, like, I was asking her, I'm like, okay, do you typically do like questions, or, you know, do you just let the speaker speak, or how do you guys do things? And she said, well, you don't want to do 20 minutes and then like we'll ask questions, but I don't know. I think they're gonna be too intimidated to ask questions. And I'm like, oh gosh. Okay. So I want to take the introduction that she just gave me and have you go back, like, I don't know, 20, God, it's more than 20 years now. So I'm in my 30s now. So 30 some years, and understand that, like, you should not be intimidated by me. I'm a child. I'm like the middle child of 4, and I was the only girl. So when I came into this Beachbody world, and it was a male dominated business, it wasn't an uncomfortable situation for me because I'd always been around boys. What was uncomfortable is I was building a team of girls, and girls always really intimidated me because I hadn't had positive experiences with them, starting with my very own mother. And I just didn't really grow up in a very stable environment. Not only were we on government assistance and poor, but I had not just one alcoholic parent, really not even just 2. I got blessed with like 4 of them because my mom remarried a couple times over and, you know, keeps attracting the same exact person. And my whole life, I had adopted this rescuer mentality, and I wanted to save my parents from themselves. I wanted to save my brothers from, you know, what I thought was like an impending doom future. I wanted to make everybody see who I knew that they could be. And there was these moments that I remember going into my room amongst all the chaos, and I would sit in there and I would like just have conversations out loud to God and be like, okay, I know I am different from these people. I'm just different. I didn't know how I was going to be able to change my life or get out of that situation, but I know it was given to me for a reason. And I remember thinking like, there is a light at the end of the tunnel. And even like my parents, so they were so poor, but they had all these dogs, and they literally let these dogs have puppies, and then they never sold the puppies. So now we had like 6 dogs, and I am going somewhere with this all. But they started going to the bathroom all over the house. And so much so that it was all over the carpet, and the carpet got pulled up, and there would be like, I'm trying to give you a visual, but our hallway was cement with like the carpet tracks where you like have the nails still in them. So if you're going to the bathroom at night, you might step on that and, you know, end up bleeding out. There was piles of laundry that had like dog urine on them. It was like, my mom would fall asleep with a cigarette in one hand and a drink in the other, and somehow would never spill the drink. But we would always worry, you know, about the house burning on fire. So I'd always go outside and have to like put that out. And the way that I would create an environment like that was special for me is I had my room, because I was the only girl, I didn't have to share. And my aunt had her carpet redone. She had like what I considered was wealthy. She probably only made like $50,000 or $60,000 a year, but I thought she was like super, super rich. And she had scraps, and I asked her if I could have the scraps and just like piece together my room carpet. So I literally took a box cutter, and I would like cut out the box of little scrap carpeting, and, you know, kind of had some patches here and there that didn't have carpeting on them. But I guess I'm trying to share with you that like, I always tried to, amongst the chaos, amongst the craziness, just like create my own little piece of the world that was safe and that was mine, and that I had a promise for something better someday. And when I grew up, like I was that rescuer personality, I went to live with my dad, and I tried to rescue him. And I actually ended up dropping out of high school in the middle of my 10th grade year. And not because, you know, I couldn't have done the work. It was just more so like, I just felt like that's so unimportant what was going on those high school years, where you're worried about people, what they think of you and all that kind of stuff. I was making up this whole entire life to these people that I was in high school with about what my real life was like. And it was the complete opposite, because I was afraid if they knew, like when I go home to filth. I go home to, there is no car when I turn 16. There's no dad that has some awesome job, or mom that like spends girls' weekends with me. So I created this whole fake life about, you know, what my parents did and everything. And just, it became too painful to try and live both lives. And so I said, okay, I'm going to leave this life, and I'm going to go and be in this other life and go get a job and start working. And so at 16, I started working full time and started to help with paying for bills and covering all my own stuff, and eventually saved up to buy my own car. And when I was 15, started to date a guy who was 3 years older. And so he was like the most stable person I've ever met. He is an emerald personality, for those of you who know the personality test. And it felt like my Prince Charming. And that whole idea that I wanted to create this perfect life for myself, I like really attached myself to the idea that we were going to use like my first kiss, and like we were going to be together forever, and we had this perfect life. So I moved from being with my dad to Tampa, which is across the bay from where I am, and I moved in with him, and we had like this perfect life. Everything was good. And then 7 years later, it wasn't good anymore. And we really were not, we grew apart quickly, because every time that I would come to him with these like grand ideas that I've always had through my whole life, even in the room by myself as a child, like I was going to do something great with my life, I would get these great ideas. I would tell him, and he would put it down, and he would be like, you can't do that. Like, you have to think stair step, Lindsay. You can't just like wake up one day and take the elevator to success. And I've never been a small dreamer. I've always been a big dreamer, because I just know there's something in me. I'm supposed to do something great with my life. I can't have the life that I did grow up in and end up just leading a life of mediocrity or repeating it. And so eventually I left. I got into a new relationship with a guy, and 3 months later, I got pregnant. And I remember like my world spinning. Like, you know, you ever been in those moments where you hear news and it's like, it will not happen to me. And it's kind of like when you get diagnosed with a disease or something, it just couldn't happen. And I honestly said to the lady when she told me I was pregnant, I said, oh my gosh, this is the worst possible thing ever. I like can't have this baby. And I considered abortion. I considered just letting it all go. Like, I needed to be able to turn around, because I had a plan. I was going to do something great with my life. And, you know, I didn't even know this person very well, what's going to end up happening. And I decided to stick it out. And she was born just 32 weeks into my pregnancy and had a brain bleed. And thankfully, the relationship I ended up being in is with my now husband. And we fought for that child because, wait, I missed something. So when we were at the point where I was trying to decide if I was going to keep the baby, the thing I was faced with was my biggest fear, which is repeating my parents' past. And when you have a baby coming, there's no turning back. And like the one thing I wanted to be great at is being a mom, because I never had that. And you have this whole idea of what it's going to look like when you get there. And it wasn't. And then when she was born premature, that really didn't look like what I thought it was going to look like. And I wasn't prepared mentally, financially, definitely not, to be in that position, especially with somebody who I didn't know what he was going to do. I didn't know if he's going to stay or he was going to go. And so we fought through that and inevitably brought her home. And thankfully, she is like my miracle baby. She started to heal. The brain bleed absorbed by itself, and we got physical therapy and stuff. But we were just past the threshold of being able to get aid, and we had about $400,000 worth of medical debt that we acquired through that pregnancy. And all I'd ever done in my life is be in the hospitality industry. So bartender, hostess, waitress, like those jobs to get to $400,000 was like, yeah, it was going to take 90 years of being a bartender. So it felt like the light at the end of the tunnel that I always known was there just really wasn't anymore. And I really lost myself for the first time. I mean, I had had some bad moments in my life, but that was the worst moment. And when you don't feel like there's any hope and you're kind of alone, and I don't really have a mom I can go cry to. I don't really have a dad I can go cry to. I don't have, my siblings were all younger than me. And I just kind of fell to my knees and I said, I need something that can give me the opportunity to be able to do something great and to get out of the situation. And so anyway, I'm going to fast forward a little bit, but Beachbody and P90X became my refuge before I knew about coaching. And I started to work on P90X. I failed 3 times because I beat myself up over it. I'm a perfectionist by nature. So if I couldn't keep up with a move, I defeated myself in my mind before anything else. And eventually I tried the 4th time and I put myself on YouTube and I said, all right, I need to get back in control of this area of my life, and I'm going to have you guys hold me accountable. And if you'll just check in with me every 30 days, I'll post my results. All I'm going to do is beat my personal best. So if I can only do 10 minutes this day, I'm going to do 12 minutes the next time I do that video, and then to keep progressing my way forward. And I would share my journey on there. And there was nothing epic. The videos were not professionally done. I was not a coach, so it was not in the business mindset. Now I think back and I'm like, oh, I could have collected emails that whole time. It would have been awesome. So anyway, because I changed my mindset from, I need to be good right away. Why can't I keep up with these people? This sucks. I suck. I'll never be like those people in the video, or I'll never be what I want to be. I'm screwed forever. I had a baby. Now my body's, ruined. 2, all right, so I may not be like those people in the video, and I might be where I'm at right now. I'm just going to accept it and then hope that I can get a little bit better next time I do the video. So just push myself forward a little bit, and then I'm going to grow a little bit by little bit over this course of this 90 days that I was on with that program. And hopefully by the end, I'll be able to complete one of the workouts. And by having that mindset and knowing, okay, I'm going to fall short sometimes. And there was definitely times I fell short. I just kept moving forward, and I kept celebrating the small wins. And I started to recognize, more than just like weight loss. I started to focus on, oh my gosh, I can do that move. Like I can do that move that I couldn't even do 1 the first time. Now I can do 4. And then I was all of a sudden, oh my gosh, I just made it to the 40-minute mark for the very first time. Holy crap. Or, oh my gosh, I just saw like I have actual quad muscle, or my arm is starting to look more defined. And I started to just really celebrate myself and go on that journey with myself of like self-discovery and focusing on my own personal needs for one time. And by the end of that journey, even though it was imperfect, even though I had cheat meals that I wasn't supposed to have, and I didn't even fully understand the meal plan by the end, I was in the best shape of my life. And I was like, holy crap. I wasn't perfect, and I didn't know what I was doing most of the time, but I just kept moving forward and moving forward and moving forward. And look where I am now. And I'm like, I feel so good. And not only did I looked good, I looked in shape, I felt like a different person. Like I felt so proud of myself, and I felt accomplished, and I felt like, holy crap, if I apply that to other areas in my life, what could happen? And what started to happen when I shared those videos on YouTube before I was a coach is women started to write me and they said, oh my gosh, your video is the reason why I started doing this program, because I had the exact same amount of weight to lose. And, you know, seeing your before and afters, it just fired me up and made me realize I could do this. And I didn't lose 50 pounds. I lost like 15 pounds. So I didn't think that was going to inspire anybody. That's not like a drastic weight loss that nobody's ever lost before. But it was my truth and it was my story. And somebody else had the similar story and they saw it and they were inspired by it. And I was willing enough to share out loud that it was the 4th attempt, that I had failed in the past and that I didn't know if I was going to fail in the future. And those women would write me just asking questions like, you know, what did you do with your daughter while you worked out? Because I have a daughter around the same age. Or, you know, did you ever do the lean program with the meal plan, or did you do the classic program? What did you do when you missed a day? Did you start over? And they would ask questions that all I would do is give them the answers of what was my truth. I didn't know if they were the right answers or what beachbody.com would say, but I just shared them. And I loved it. And I would go and I would like look forward to getting those messages. And I remember telling Billy, if they had a job like where I could do that, that'd be my dream job, because I love helping these women. And he's like, well, you could be like a personal trainer. And I was like, I don't want to be at a sweaty gym. And like, I'm not into the fitness part of it. It was more like, I liked the fact that I was inspiring someone to do something positive. And so inevitably I ended up calling the company and finding out they had a referral program called coaching, signed up and did not know what I was doing. And everything in me wanted to go back to the same mindset I had prior when I got P90X, and I looked for all the ways that I was going to fail. I didn't have an upline sponsor. The person I was assigned to was like inactive. The person that actually, she's quit at this point. The person above her wasn't doing the coaching part. The person above him was like the typical schemy network marketer, which I, being a bartender, had been pitched on every network marketing company under the sun and had the grossest taste in my mouth for anything in this business. So the last thing I want to do is pair up with him. So I decided I've got to go it alone. Not the first time I've done that, but I was going to treat other people the way that I wanted to be treated. I was going to take it at my own pace. I was just going to try to get a little bit better, a little bit stronger every single day, learn something new every single day, tell myself, all right, I'm going to do something that scares the crap out of me every single day and push myself a little bit and a little bit and a little bit further. And I will screen share with you. One second. Let's see. Okay, here we go. So I felt like it would be good to get a visual of my epic success at the beginning of my journey. And it starts from the bottom and goes up. So just so you know what you're looking at. And I might not be able to get a really good view of this, but these are my commissions, my first few months in the business. And I will tell you that when I started this, I had lost, or I quit my job, but I say I lost it. It was a mutual exit from bartending 2 weeks prior to finding Beachbody. And I was like, okay, I need something. And I did not want to go get another bartending job. So my thing with my husband when I found this is, hey, give me 3 months, or no, give me a month to figure this out. And if in a month I'm not making what I would make it as a bartender, then I will go get another job. And what I made as a bartender was $600 a week. So I went all in. And I legitimately, this is not just blowing smoke, like legitimately probably worked 120 hours a week for that month trying to figure this business out. And as you can see, the actual results of my efforts was not fitting the bill. It was not increasing. And everything in my past would say to quit, because that's what I'd always done. I'd actually started many businesses. This is probably why my ex didn't necessarily love my quirky ideas that I came up with. But I'd started so many things passionately, excited. Yes, this is it. I know it. I'm going to go for it. And then as soon as I hit a roadblock, I would quit. But something was different about this. I had this gut feeling that I was supposed to do something great with this. I had this gut feeling that it was going to change me into the person that I knew I was always called to be. And so I begged my husband, please, like, give me 3 months. And he very, very begrudgingly did. And still, after 3 months, was making nowhere near what we needed to make. In fact, I remember he was a bartender as well, very specifically him coming home from a shift and making $400 in that night. And I didn't make that. It was like I was 6 months into coaching, didn't make that. And I was like, this is so unfair, but I'm growing. Like my income is growing little by little. It might only be, and I'll scroll up so you can see it doesn't drastically change very much. It's just starting to hit right here, my first week above my bartending salary, but then it dips right back down in half. Oh, that sucks. And so I've been in your shoes, and I guess like that's the most important thing about my story that you probably need to hear, is that I know what it's like to bust your butt and then not see the reward necessarily in this form. It's kind of like our challengers when they're busting their butt and they're not seeing it in weight loss, but they're only looking at the weight loss. They're only looking at the weight loss. They're changing in so many other ways. Like their energy's up, they can do moves they can't do. They have now acquired friends and a tribe that believes in them, that speaks into their lives. But because they're not seeing the weight loss, they're focused on that and they say it's a complete failure. And I get it, because income's important. Trust me, the girl that's making these paychecks right here filed for bankruptcy, lost her home, had to move into a home that was 1/3 the size in a pretty ghetto looking duplex with a guy who used to pass out in the entryway and we had to like step over him. I had every reason to be completely fearful and say, you know what, this is just not going to work. But instead I said, okay, I am not where I need to be yet mentally. I need to get my bigger vision of where this is going to go. Let me get specific on who I need to become to be the kind of leader that I want to become. And I remember watching some like the superstar coaches and I'm like, oh my gosh, they're like celebrities. I want to meet them so bad and get a picture. And then I met them and I was like, oh, they're like shorter in person and, you know, they look like me, like a human, and you know, they didn't have all the right words all the time, and we're not that different. And it switched my mindset to being like, if they can do it, I can do it. Like if that person can start similar to place to where I started, even, you know, even if they were ahead, I could catch up if I keep going. Like if I stop comparing and saying, I'm not there, I'm not right where they are right now, then if I start to use it as inspiration and say, okay, like how can I grow from that person's experience, or how can I go on their YouTube channel and stock their YouTube channel? It didn't have that back then. But you guys, there's so many people out there, and I get it, because it's like, I have been to Melanie Mitro's page and been like, oh, I'm the worst coach. She's so organized. She has got like time slots for everything. Everything's so perfect. I am never going to be that. And you know, and I let it get me down at points, because I'm like, gosh, Lindsay, you need to be more organized. You need to be so much more productive. You need to get a blog together. Why haven't you done a blog? You need to do more YouTube videos. You need to do consistent YouTube videos where you do them on Tuesday, Thursdays, and then Saturdays. So that way you can build your content and you can be a better coach. You can track better coaches, more coaches, blah, blah, blah. Okay. This is my desktop right now, guys. Hold on a second. I want you to understand. Hold on. Screen share. Okay. So this is my desktop. I promise you Melanie Mitro's desktop does not look like this. It probably has a folder perfectly organized with everything. I've got a folder that I just gave up on actually organizing things, and it's just called cleanup. When my life is just too crazy to organize, I'm like, let me just put everything in the cleanup folder and I'll like organize it later, which means I'm never going back to those abyss pictures because I just am not cut from that cloth. But what I did find is, as I started to move forward, as I started to go through my journey, is I did have strengths. I did have qualities that I knew I could develop and become better, and they would make me stand out. And so that's exactly what I started to do, is I started to think, okay, I watched this video, and this video on this. How could I take the information I learned in all 3 videos and create a YouTube video that makes it simplified into a 3-minute video? And so that's what I started to do. More so to save myself time. But what I didn't realize I was doing is creating my own little YouTube channel where people were going to start to find me through that. And was it perfect? And are the videos as, edited I don't know if you know Coach Caleb, his videos are like so cool, fun to watch. And like, but at least I did some videos. I did something. It wasn't perfect. They weren't on the Tuesday and the Thursday of each month, but they were getting done. And I just kept growing and moving forward. I will tell you today, I think I mentioned this. I don't remember if I mentioned this or not. This will tell you, not organized person. I had a rough day. Like the last 2 days, I have just been like in this fog where I just sort of felt like I didn't really have anything to give. Didn't really have anything to say that was going to inspire anybody. And I feeling bad for myself, just kind of like, yeah, whatever. So I've been listening to probably 3 hours of personal development a day the last 2 days. And I took pages and pages of notes because I needed it so darn bad. And I tell you that not to whatever, but just to say, like, you're going to have those days. You're going to have those days, whether you're a brand new coach struggling or you're a top coach struggling. Like, it's just part of life. And I know it's here to grow me. It's here to teach me something. That maybe that video I watched today was something I really needed to hear, and I wasn't going to watch it if I was in like the best mood, felt on top of the world. So use every experience, whether it's a great experience, a crappy experience, whatever, use it to fuel you to become something that you're meant to be the person that you need to go to be able to get to where you want to go. That was a tongue twister right there. Hold on one second. I have a couple things I want to mention. So these are things I learned in my personal development today. I'm going to teach them to you, and I've actually done them through therapy before, but it was a reminder today when I was doing them in my personal development. So we all tell ourselves, and we create stories around different things about ourselves throughout our life. And for me, it was the rescuer, that people's problems are bigger than mine, so I should focus on them. I should rescue them, and that's my purpose. But in truth, what I needed to realize is that I have to focus on changing me. I'm the only one I have control over changing. All I can do is change me and then inspire people who are ready to change, to see themselves in me, and then be willing to make those changes themselves. I don't make the changes for them. I don't make the changes for anybody I've ever coached. I didn't change Becca's life. Becca changed Becca's life. I shared my journey out loud. I shared the things that helped me make those changes within myself. And Becca saw, oh, I might be able to use some of that, applied it to her life, and she changed her life. And she didn't change any of your lives. She lived her truth. She lived out loud. She shared what really helped her to change her life. And now some of you are choosing to make those same changes in your life, and now you're changing your life. And the people that you inspire, whether that be a random stranger, whether that be your spouse, whether that be your children, you do not make or break them. They choose. And once I learned that, I got to release the fact that I don't have control over other people's choices. I get to release the fact that I'm not my mom's cure or my dad's cure, and I'm not this coach that's struggling cure, and I don't have to be somebody more. I don't need to be more to be a great leader. Like, I don't need to pour into other people more to be a great leader. I need to be a better leader for me. I need to grow more personally. And then I will inspire other people who are great leaders to see themselves in me and to be able to make those changes. And so that's a lie that a lot of us tell ourselves, is that we're not enough for someone else. When in truth, it's really about ourselves. We've got to grow personally. We've got to grow and create new stories around who we are in order to break some of those lies that we've now convinced ourselves are truth. So the activity is kind of to think about what settlements you're making in your life. What are some things that you're settling out of court that, because you think, oh, if I go full on, if I go all the way to court, I could lose. So I'm just going to take this settlement. I'm just going to keep this job, or I'm just going to stay here where I'm comfortable because it's a guarantee, versus going full out and actually taking what you know deep down is yours. You know you've got the winning case, but there's this lie that keeps playing, like, oh, but what if I go full on with coaching and then all of a sudden I fall on my face? Or what if whatever it might be for you. So what settlement are you making in your life? And then here is the activity that really helped me. It's about lies and truths. And what you have to do, you need to get a notebook. And what you're going to do is you're going to take about probably 10 pages. And in pencil, you're going to write all the lies that you've told yourself. And I have some categories for you, and I can send you this later. but about money. What are the lies that you have in your mind about money? I know for me, I come from people that were always poor. It was people that make a lot of money do bad things to have to get there. People that have a lot of money are greedy. People that have a lot of money, like they're not me. You know, like that's not me. I can't get there because I don't know anybody that's ever had a lot of money. What are the lies that you have about relationships? What are the lies that you have about who you are deep down inside? What are the lies you have about health and fitness? What are the lies that you have about yourself as a leader or your ability as a coach? What are the lies you have about spirituality? Writing those different lies in pencil, leaving 4 spaces between each one. And then what you're going to go do is you're going to go back through, and under each lie, you're going to write the truth. And you're going to write it in red ink so that you cannot erase it or ignore it. And sometimes I remember doing this with therapy. One of the lies that I had was that nobody really likes me. Everybody only likes me as long as I'm pouring into them, if I'm giving of myself, if I'm constantly saying yes, if I'm constantly doing more. And that was hard to say yes to. Like, that was hard to write. I remember writing it and being like, oof, that hurts. Why do I believe that? And I went back and I thought, like, why do I believe that? And for me personally, it was because I had alcoholic parents that the only time that I felt needed or loved is when I was rescuing them, when I was pouring into them, when they needed me. And then when they didn't need me anymore, or when they went off the deep end, then I didn't exist anymore. And so I had created this lie that is what everybody does to me. And I was attracting that. I literally had people in my life prior to Beachbody that did that to me all the time. Like, at the moment that I didn't, they didn't see value in me. When I got pregnant, the girl that I was in business with stole the business from me. I attracted the exact same situation again. And I'm sure some of you guys have instances like that with whatever lies you realize about yourself. So anyway, what you got to do is rewrite the truth. And sometimes the truth is going to be hard to believe, and you might not believe it yet, but you have to dig deep inside and ask, okay, what is the truth? And write that truth down in the red ink. And then what you're going to do for 2 days, you are going to read your lie and then read your truth. You're going to do it 4 times a day. Each lie, each truth, 4 times a day, and repeat each one. And then after the second day, you're going to erase the lie. And then you're going to focus on doing those affirmations with just the truth. Just speaking those truths over yourself. This is who I am. This is what I believe about relationships. This is the truth about me as a leader in Beachbody and my ability to become who I know I'm called to be. I will tell you that activity changed it was like the chains were broken. And what's the crazy part is, like, I was already successful with monetary stuff, but I wasn't completely free. And so some of you guys might not need Beachbody financially. You might need it because you're going to be connected with people that are going to make you know who you're called to be, and you're going to be able to pursue other things that are going to be mind-blowing. This is a vehicle to become the person that you're meant to be. And you can use it for so many different things. That's like the awesome part about it. I am not a fitness expert. I don't want to be in the DVDs. I don't want to be asked to speak or to work out on stage. Like, that mortifies me because it's not my jam. But I found a platform to be able to meet my best friends, people that I literally did not have in my life before this. I found a platform to be able to have a voice to speak into moms who found themselves in the same shoes I was previously, to be able to use my story and my past, to be able to heal through it by using it for good and saying, aha, there's the missing puzzle piece. This is why it all happened, and be thankful for it. And know that nobody ever likes the story. If I got on here and told you I had an awesome family and the best upline, it was so cool. Yeah, my first week I made $750 and it was like this down. That story sucks. So if you're given challenges, it's because your story is going to be freaking epic. So embrace the challenge and say, okay, what is this here to teach me? So you can grow through it and get a step closer to where you're supposed to be. And just stop being so afraid of leaping. Because a lot of us just sit on the edge and we just like, we watch other people and we're like, wow, look at them. They're really flying, but we're on the edge, like just rocking back and forth and waiting to jump and saying, well, okay, when the circumstances are this, or when my husband sports this, or when my kids grow to this age, or whatever, your stories, you're using those people. It's like you say, oh, that's the reason why you can't do it. But in truth, that's your security blanket. Because I use my alcoholic parents as my reason to hold back. I use different challenges that came into my life, financial circumstances, the no upline thing. I could have used it. I'd use it all my life. All of those people, they didn't have a gun to my head saying I had to stay or that I had to be present at a certain period of time or whatever. I chose to let them be my excuse not to step into my greatness. And then I chose not to anymore. And that was the only thing that changed. As I just chose to jump. And yeah, I fell sometimes and I had to make sacrifices, like serious sacrifices, but it was so worth it. It was so worth it. And what are we going to do if we don't? Just look back and be like, oh man, wonder, oh man, I'm so glad I played it safe at the end of the day when we're all going to die regardless. I'm so glad I played it safe and I preserved this amazing body and nobody got to see me fail, because that would have been horrible. I would much rather people see me fall on my face and continue to crawl my butt back up than to just be too afraid to even try. So there's so many of you guys on here, and I know that some of you are really brand new and you're like, holy crap, I thought it was going to be about like step by step of getting a new coach started. But it's so much bigger than that. It's so much bigger than that. It really, really is. So I hope in leaving you that you choose the hard now versus the hard later. And I realize that there are sacrifices that we get afraid to make. Like I said, my dream was to have my little girl have a mom, the kind of mom I wished I would have had. And of course I don't want to miss a moment. I have a 8-year-old and an 8-month-old. And so I'm becoming a new mom for the second time after a long period of time of not having a baby. And I don't want to miss a moment, you know? But I always think about what I want her to duplicate. And as much as I love spending time with my children and I want to be present with them, right? So I do turn my phone on airplane mode multiple times a day when I'm trying to spend time with my family. But I want my girls to see their mom hustle. Like, I want them to know what hard work is, because they're not going to have my upbringing. They're not going to know about some of the things I had to go through that gave me a little more grit. So I want them to see a mom with grit. I want them to see a mom and understand, and especially my 8-year-old, that I do sacrifice to be able to serve, you know, and what I'm called to do. And that I do stay up late and do calls because mommy does more than just get people fit. Mommy helps people to realize that they have greatness within them. And then she gets to meet her Beachbody cousins, you know, like Cadence, and play around with them. And I watch them play and think, those kids will never have to struggle the way that some of us had to struggle. They will never have to. They're going to have so many opportunities in their life that we might not have otherwise had because of the grit, because of the sacrifices, because of the late nights. And sure, yeah, we can get all frustrated about a challenge pack sale that didn't go through or a missed goal or whatever. But when I look at them, I'm like, I'm not going to let that hold me back. Like, I know what I'm going after. I know why I'm doing it. And I'm going to keep going because I want the best for my kids, and I want generational change. It's going to be her kids and her kids' kids and her kids' kids' kids. Their lives will never be the same. Our family tree, it's a whole different tree. And it's funny, today that I did a call, I just bought a lot that's like 6.5 acres, and it's lakefront. And I have this vision, and I had to grow to this vision because I got stuck for a little while because I peaked. I thought I had done it all. And then I got this vision. I was reading The Legacy Journey by Dave Ramsey. It's a fantastic book. And I had to dream bigger, and I thought, I want 5 generations from now, when they know nothing about, you know, great, 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 great grandma, whatever, that they're playing on those, you know, that swing set that we built generations before. And that I get to look down, you know, from heaven and just be like, it was all worthwhile. And they will never, ever have those hand-me-downs. I will break the chains. And that is what it's all about. So anyway, that's it, Becca. Told you I didn't know where that was going to go, but.
Oh, but it went in such a beautiful place. I'm crying. It's so good. I'm a mess because I've been a mess for like 2 weeks since we got matched. It was like we got matched and all of 9 months worth of pregnancy hormones that I didn't have physically like, virtually hit me. And so like every time I see baby clothes, every time someone says anything even like remotely sweet, I'm like crying every day. So it's been awful. So you're talking about like cadence in London. I was like, that was beautiful. All of it. So, but I think it's such a good reminder because we get so stuck in the day-to-day, like, just like the work, like the busy work in our, we call it Charlie work in our house. It's like the jobs that nobody wants to do, like just the crap jobs, like answering, you know, a stupid question from someone that they could have, you know, figured out if they'd read your last message and you're like, oh, you know, like we get caught up in that kind of stuff and we forget like this is for when my son brings his wife and they have a kid so that they can come back to this place and he can show them these memories. Like this is not just for this moment. This is for so much bigger than this moment. So that was really beautiful. I know we went a little bit over, so I don't know if we want to do questions or anything, but I did want to show you this because I thought it was really funny about how like attracts like. Because I have attracted some very organized coaches, but this is my desktop and Nate makes fun of me all the time. And you guys, if you ever see my desktop really clean, you should be worried. Oh, I lost you. Where'd everybody go? Let me stop share and see if it makes
perfect example.
Yeah. If any of you guys ever see my computer desktop perfectly clean, you need to go to Nate and be like, is Becca okay? Like, is the business okay? Like, what is going on? Because a messy desktop means that I have been creating and I didn't have time to sort through stuff and organize it. Like, this is all graphics from our business corner page that we launched a few months ago because I was like working on it, you know? So like, and when you said you have a file, I like declare desktop bankruptcy all the time. And I have a file that's just called stuff. And I literally just like highlight everything that's left after I get like the important things off and just move it there. Cause I'm like, if it's important, I'll find it later. Yep. It'll be fine. And if not, it'll just get deleted when I get a new laptop in a couple of years.
Yep. I'm the queen of like 1 month planners. I have so many planners with 1 month of stuff in them. And then I get a new prettier planner.
I just have stopped with planners because it is such a waste. Like I have such great motives and then I spend so much time like organizing them when I first get them. And I maybe get through 2 weeks, like never more than 2 weeks.
Yep. It's horrible, but it's just gotta embrace who you are. And like the more you can spend a ton of time, like trying to change yourself, or you just figure out how to do you the best you can and roll with it. And it's worked out all right.
Yeah. Well, that was something I think it was you that said it or someone on a bombshell call one time, maybe it could have been Brittany Leggett, said it. And it always stuck with me where they were like, you shouldn't spend all your time trying to get better at the places that you're bad. You should spend a little bit of time there and you should spend a lot of your time maximizing on the places that you're good, you know, because like you're already good there. So you could take it so much further. And I was like, oh yeah, I don't need to spend all my time trying to become Melanie Mitro. I'm already good at being creative and I'm already good at pulling stuff out of thin air. Like when
that's what makes you stand out. Like that is your it factor. And so like John Maxwell is the one I think we got it from, is he talked about like you can take, if you're a 7 at something naturally, you can take that and do personal development towards it and become a 9 and you become world class, you know, in that specific, or a standout at least in that specific area. Or you can take your 2s to a 4.
Yeah, that was the quote. It was number based.
Yeah. So it's like, okay, I realized I was trying to become, you know, like that person and it was draining me first of all. And it only happens to work for a small period of time before I just default back into me.
Yeah, exactly. Okay. So it's already 9:20. Did anybody ask any I didn't see any big questions come up in the chat. So I think we probably don't have anything crazy.
Let me see.
How do I ask a question?
You can ask it right now.
That.
Oh, wait. Can you hear me?
Yeah, go ahead.
Sorry.
You're on live.
Oh, wait, can you see me in a video?
Yeah.
That's embarrassing. I wasn't prepped. Okay, wait, never mind. I'm gonna not ask a question.
No,
now.
ask it. You're already here.
Now
Okay.
I'm like dying.
Sorry.
You made it this far.
Okay. So I feel like your upbringing, Lindsay, is similar to mine. And you know, when you were taking that leap of faith of just quitting your bartending job and then just giving your grace period of 3 months, like it had to be nervous and the most nervous experience ever because it is commission based and everything like that. So what would you say is your number one motivation? Just that one little itch that was like, I don't really care, even though my husband may not approve of me not making a lot of money for 3 months, but I'm going to do it. Because I feel like for me, I just became a coach I think this year. And I haven't really put a lot of points on the board. And I'm trying my best now. And it seems like it's hard. It's really, really hard to even network myself. So what is the best way to network yourself? I know you said YouTube, but what would you say now, since YouTube is still very important, but what would you use instead now of YouTube?
Okay, so what do you do for a job now?
Oh, I'm a sales consultant for a car dealership.
Okay, so I didn't quit my job for Beachbody. So I quit 2 weeks before I found Beachbody because my manager was disrespectful to me. And I just felt that I heard a whisper that I was supposed to leave. So I trusted it. And was it scary? Heck yeah. And everything reasonably in my mind said, you should go get another job while you're doing this. And I would suggest that to you guys. I'm not saying, go quit your jobs and do this full time. What I would tell you is you've got to get to a place where you take the cap off. So like we tell ourselves a story that, well, I just don't have enough time, or I don't know how to network. I don't know how to find more people. It's really hard to get people to commit. Those are stories like that are already projecting what your future experience is going to be like. You don't know. Like if you went out and went full throttle, like let's say you cut out 2 extra hours of sleep, and sure, you're going to be tired, but you can survive. And you started to, listen to personal development when you're doing your makeup in the morning for work, and you listen to it on the way to the car, or training videos of, different people on YouTube. Crazy now. I mean, I can't even imagine if I would have started how many hours of YouTube videos I would have watched, but there's so many people that have stuff out there that you can learn from for free. And I would just be listening to that as much as I possibly could, doing the mundane tasks that we all do every single day. I mean, this is my personal development schedule today. Like I shaved my legs in the bath and then listened to personal development. So I got smooth legs for you guys. They're very white, but they're smooth. And I listened to personal development while I put makeup on this morning. I listened to personal development with my family in the kitchen while we were feeding Maddie. I listened to personal development when I drove to and from the grocery store. I like find pockets throughout my day. Now, obviously, when I'm actually working, I can't listen to it while I work because my brain just goes into like, ah. So finding ways to get the training that you need is really important. And then finding what social media like that you really gravitate towards and feel like excited to share on, and then getting vulnerable as hell. Like you've got a story, and you're not going to move anybody by posting what you think a coach should post, because coaches post, oh, here's me doing a workout, or here's me doing the 3-day refresh, or whatever. Like that does not motivate anybody. It's like people just glaze right over it. What motivates them, or what really inspires them, is by them hearing your story, your specific story, because what they do when they read it is they think about them. They think about their story and they figure out where they can apply it. Like, oh yeah, that's part of my story. Like you said, you did. When you were listening to my story, you're thinking about your childhood. You're thinking about that when that happened to you. And so when you're sharing your story, people aren't judging you. They're really just looking at it and thinking about them. And so that is really the it factor. That's what I did from the beginning that really, I think, set me apart, is I just went raw. And I had never done that. There's a post that I actually did. Becca mentioned it. It's a YouTube post, or not YouTube post, Facebook note that I posted. And it was all about like, I started this Beachbody career and I tagged people in it and stuff. I was just bold. I just was like backs against the wall and got rid of my ego and stopped worrying about what other people thought of me. and just went all in. And I think that's the difference. It's like either you're tiptoeing around the edge, because right now you're still on the edge, or you just jump, and then if you fall, you just get back up, you know? So that's probably what I would suggest doing, is deciding, am I going to go all in, or am I going to put my toe in the water? And am I willing to share my story? And it doesn't necessarily have to be every darkest, deepest secret. I didn't share all the nitty gritty until like full year. I didn't share that I filed bankruptcy because I was so embarrassed. It was so near me. It was like right 3 months before I found Beachbody. So it took me a year of like being able to get to the point. And I told everybody in that moment. My parents didn't know. My best friends didn't know. It was such like a secret. So anyway, it'll take time.
Okay. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. And use your job to network, because that's an awesome opportunity too.
Sorry, I'm on my phone, so my friend is calling me.
Oh, good.
But yes, but that definitely helped. What was I gonna say next? Actually, I don't remember, but I do appreciate it. Oh my gosh, sorry. I do appreciate that.
Do that truth and lie activity too, because I think that'll really help.
I think that's gonna help too. A lot of things that people really tell me nowadays, my main questions is, what's Beachbody compared to Herbalife? And it's just like, okay, now I have to do research on them to compare to us, and then just have this whole, like, it's just so crazy because there's a lot of people who.
I don't know what the difference is.
No, Herbalife.
No, I know what you're saying.
Oh, the difference.
I don't know the difference. If somebody says that, I don't know. All I know is, you know, this has been something that's done blah, 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 blah for me. Or I'm connected with this community of incredible women. And it's like, you don't have to compare. You don't know what to
like compare.
No.
You recommend just share personal experience and how it works for you, and then let them feel inspired if they do.
Yeah, so you just say, the line is, I don't know. All I know is, and you share your journey. You share like what it's done for you and what the difference maker has been for you.
Okay.
But I never, ever, 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 ever compare. If somebody asks me for a comparison with Shakeology to another shake, or the business to another business, I've never been in another network marketing business. All I know is when I was completely lost in my life, I found a place with products I knew worked because they'd completely changed my life. And I have a community of people that have become my best friends and my biggest encouragers, and I can't imagine my life without them. I don't need to say any more about whatever they're asking me to compare it to. You're welcome.
Thank you, Lydia. That was a great question. All right, so it's 9:30. I'm going to wrap up. I had one little quick story that Lindsay was sharing that I wanted to like end with, and then we can get going. So today I went to the springs, well, one of the many springs in Central Florida. I don't know if any of you guys have ever been to like the natural springs. They're really beautiful, and there we go. They're really beautiful, and they're also freezing cold. So they're always the same temperature. They're always, I think it's 73 degrees, something like that. Somebody can correct me if I'm wrong. Like all the time around the year, they're that cold. And I don't know if you guys know what that means, but it's like way colder than a normal swimming pool. And so I went, and we were at this spring called Blue Spring, where you put your float in on one side, and then like the river kind of takes you down for like 15 or 20 minutes. So you get out and you like go and you do it again as many times as you want. And I had Cadence with me, which means we were doing it endlessly. So have any of you guys, you know that feeling like when you're getting into a cold pool, and like there are two types of people, right? What are the two types of people? There's jumpers and there's tiptoers, like they get into the pool. And I was thinking about it today. I was like, this is such a good example of like everything in our life, or everything that's scary in the business. Because the first time we went in, I went really slow because I'm normally a tiptoer into cold water. I torture myself. And you get to like each like spot on your body, like your knees, and then that's okay, but like going past your knees is really painful. And then like you get to your belly button, like past your belly button's painful. Like once it gets to like your rib cage, like every spot, and you just go a little bit more. And so I got in the water, and I was okay once I was in the water. And then I climbed kind of out onto the tube, and I was floating on the tube for a little while. And then I sunk back into the water. I was like, it's so cold again. And we got out, we walked all the way back. By the time we got back, I had to do the whole thing over again. It was miserable again. And so this time I was like, screw it. I'm just going to jump in this time because I've been in here once. So I jumped in. It was still cold, but a little bit less painful. And I got used to it faster. And I stayed in the whole time this time. I was like, I'm not going to torture myself by like getting up on the raft and then having Cadence splash me. So I rode all the way down that time. And then that time, instead of getting out, we decided to basically paddle back upstream and go. So the last time I actually put on the snorkel with Cadence, I was like fully submerged and it didn't feel cold anymore. And I was like, this is such a perfect example for our businesses and the struggle. I watch so many coaches have like this, 5 seconds of bravery where they like get down to their knee in the water and they're like, okay, but then they pull back out because they get scared. And then it's so much harder to get back in again. So then they're trying again and it's this constant like self-torture, right? Like it doesn't feel good getting into cold water at all, but it feels good once we've been in for 10 minutes and we're swimming and having like a wonderful time. Like my third time down when I was snorkeling, the water felt refreshing. Like it felt wonderful. It wasn't painful. I wasn't like miserable at all like the first 2 times. And it's just that reminder, like, okay, we need to just jump in and then we just need to stay in the water. Like you just have to power through that adjustment time, like that 5 minutes when you first get in and yeah, you're cold and you've got goosebumps and you're having to like swim to get your blood pumping. But once you do, it feels so incredible. Like it feels so nice to be in the water, right? But when we torture ourselves by like getting into the water, getting out of the water, getting into the water, getting out of the water, over and over and over again, we live in this constant state of like discomfort and all of this extra torture that we don't even need to do to ourselves. So I was thinking that today, I was like, I need to tell them this on the team call because this is such a good like exact object lesson for how I feel like my business is. Like anytime that I put myself out there, it kind of feels like going into ice cold water. Like it's uncomfortable and it's a little bit scary and you kind of have to like jump or like scoot, but either way, it's still going to be ice cold and still going to be uncomfortable. But if we can just power through it and stay in the water, it's going to be so much more fun for us after those first few minutes. Okay, so hopefully that helps you guys understand a little bit of power plunge, polar plunge, yes. All of those things in coaching. And just like Lindsay was saying, getting through those lies that we tell ourselves so we can stay in the water longer and we don't keep running back out of the water every 3 minutes. I love that exercise. I'm going to do that because I feel like that's just a good thing for people to do like periodically in life all the time, like even outside of business. So if anybody wants to do that and, in a couple weeks, maybe come back in the team page and share if you feel confident enough to share some of the things, some of the breakthrough moments you had. I think that could be like a really cool thing to hear and see from each other for everybody on the call. And thank you guys, Lindsay, everybody go follow her on Facebook and give her a little bit of love. And thank you for hanging out with us until 9:30 at night. So thank you guys so much for being here. Thank you, Lindsay. This was beautiful, wonderful. I feel pumped up. I'm excited to go work on breaking through maybe some lies I don't even realize I'm listening to. And I hope that you guys will do that too, because I think it'll be a really cool thing.
Yeah, Mary, I'll post a thing with the categories.
Oh, yeah, perfect. Thank you. Thank you guys. And I'll get the recording up for any of your coaches that weren't able to get on live. I'll get it up on YouTube probably tomorrow. So if anybody asks you, you can tell them it'll be up tomorrow. All right, guys. Thank you, team. Thank you, Lindsay. I love you guys. Have a wonderful night. Bye.